Good morning. Welcome to our Sunday service of the First Unitarian Universalist Society located in the heart of Burlington, Vermont. We recognize that the congregation's building and many of the places where we live and work are sited on land that is part of the unceded territory of the Western Abenaki people. A warm welcome to members, friends, and visitors. We're glad you're here with us right now. Thank you for taking the time to join us. Hello, my name is Kristen Caney. I'm a member of the Worship Associates team at our First UU Society, where we strive to create spirituality and community beyond boundaries, work for more justice and more love in our own lives and in the world. We believe in the inherent worth of all living beings and the interconnectedness that binds us. If you're interested in learning more about Unitarian Universalism and about our inclusive faith community here, there will be a link for you to click on at the end of this video, or you can access us through our website. Tell us about who you are, and if you wish, we'd be glad to get back to you with answers to your questions. Our website, uusociety.org, has loads of information and ways to connect, including links to our weekly e-news blast and to our Zoom coffee hour, which happens each week after the service. We'd love to have you join us. As always, There are many staff and members of this congregation who dedicate considerable time and talents to creating these online services. Today, we have congregation members Woody Fulton making a guest appearance, and Susie Raimy has shared her talents by arranging our beautiful flowers on the chancel. If you'd like to see the full cast of today's supports, feel free to scroll down below this YouTube, or you can view this week's order of service with the link on our website. We are so grateful for all of our staff, those behind the scenes and those in front and center, for they help make our spiritual home very special indeed. We thank all of you too for being with us. While we're not able to physically be together in our meeting house, we can be together, connected in our hearts, with each other, and the world. No matter who you are, where you are, or what you believe, we send thoughts of love, light, and peace to you. Welcome.
As we light the flaming chalice, symbol of Unitarian Universalism, I hope you'll say the words with me. We kindle this chalice flame to remind ourselves of the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. The call to worship this morning is from the wonderful work of the wonderful Anne Lamott. At regular intervals, she writes, "Life gets a little too real for my taste. The wider world seems full of bombers, polluters, threats of all kinds. My own small world suffers ruptures, a couple of deaths, a couple of breakups, a young adult who had me scared out of my wits for a couple of years that leave me struggling to stay on my feet. In these situations, I usually have one of two responses, either that I am doomed or that I need to figure out whom to blame and then correct their behavior. But neither of these is true. The truth is that through the workings of love, science, community, time, and what I dare to call grace, some elemental shift will occur, and we will find we are semi-okay again. And even semi-okay can be a miracle.
Good morning. It's been a really hard week. I think a lot of you, like me, feel fragile, tense, maybe sad, maybe even scared for what the future might bring. And in times like this, it's all the more important that we remember to stop and see beauty in the world, to experience joy. The story I'm about to share reminds us that sometimes it's up to us to create that beauty, to spark that joy. Our theme for the month of November is healing. And as this story demonstrates, healing can start with creativity and community. Maybe Something Beautiful, How Art Transformed a Neighborhood by F. Isabel Campoy and Teresa Howell, illustrated by Rafael Lopez. In the heart of a gray city, there lived a girl who loved to doodle, draw, color, and paint. Every time she saw a blank piece of paper, Mira thought to herself, maybe. And because of this, her room was filled with color and her heart was filled with joy. On her way to school one day, Mira gave a round apple to Mr. Henry, the owner of the shop down the street. She gave a flower to Ms. Lopez, the lady with the sparkling eyes. She gave a songbird to Mr. Sachs and a red heart to the policeman who walked up and down the streets. On her way home, Mira taped a glowing sun onto the wall hiding in the shadows. Her city was less gray, but not much. The next day, Mira saw a man with a pocket full of paintbrushes. He gazed at the wall. He looked at her son. He held his fingers up in a square and peered through them. He said thoughtfully. What do you see? Mira asked. Maybe something beautiful, the man replied. Then, just like that, he dipped a brush in the paint. Bam! Pow! The shadows scurried away. Sky blue cut through the gloom. The man's laughter was like a rainbow spreading across the sky. Who are you? Mira asked. I'm an artist, he said. A muralist. I paint on walls. I'm an artist too, she told him. He handed Mira a brush. Then, come on. Mira dipped it in the loudest color she saw. Yahweh! The wall lit up like sunshine. As the man drew pictures on the bricks, Mira added color, punch, and pizzazz. Soon, Mr. Sachs joined in. Then came others. Everyone painted to the rhythm. Salsa, merengue, bebop. Even Mira's mama painted and danced the cha-cha-cha. The whole neighborhood became a giant block party. Until the policeman walked up. Excuse me, he said. The music stopped. Mira put her brush down. They were surely in trouble. The officer cleared his throat, then paused. May I paint with you? He asked. So Mira handed him a paintbrush, and the music started again. Teachers and papas jumped in, babies too. Mira and the man handed out brush after brush. Color spread throughout the streets. So did joy. Wherever Mira and the man went, art followed like the string of a kite. After they colored the walls, they painted utility boxes and benches. They decorated sidewalks with poetry and shine. And everyone danced. Together, they created something more beautiful than they had ever imagined. When their clothes were splattered with a million colors, everyone sat down to rest, except the muralist. His eyes sparkled. You, my friends, are all artists, he told them. The world is your canvas. He smiled wide, then pulled everything together in big, sweeping motions. His paintbrush was like a magic wand. When he finished, Mira added one more bird, way up in the sky. Maybe, she thought, just maybe. The end.
As we let these words and music settle into our beings, let us deepen together into a time of meditation. We will begin our meditation by sharing the joys and sorrows of our community, followed by a brief time of silence. So now, let us take a deep breath together, breathing in the breath of life, breathing out the breath of peace, and come now into a place of holy listening. Let us be together in the spirit of stillness, to listen to the voice within, and to feel again our connection to each other and to the spirit of life and love. Let us hear these words of joy and sorrow for this day, Sunday, November 8th, 2020. Joy and sorrow that our democracy is alive and kicking, or kicking and alive. Very happy that so many voters participated in our voting process, distressed for other reasons. Joy that Mother Nature has been sharing so much of her beauty and abilities lately. Sorrow that fear is especially rampant among humans these days. May the joys and sorrows of each be the joys and sorrows of all, reminding us of our shared humanity and sacred connectedness. As we enter into the silence, let us hold that which has been spoken and that which remains unspoken tenderly in our hearts. Amen. Blessed be. May it be so. Our reading today is titled, Even This Is Enough, by Vanessa Southern. So much undone, so much to do, so much to heal in us and the world, so much to acquire, a meal, a healthy body, a fit one, a lover, a job, a better job, proof we have and are enough, just around the corner of now. And up against it, the reality of all that falls short in the limits of today. We honor the limits. If your body won't do what it used to, for right now, let it be enough. If your mind won't stop racing or can't think of the word, let it be enough. If you are here utterly alone and in despair, be all that here with us. If today you cannot sing because your throat hurts or you don't have the heart for music, be silent. When the offering plate goes around, if you don't have money to give or the heart to give, let it pass. The world won't stop spinning on our axis if you don't rise to all occasions today. Love won't cease to flow in your direction. Your heart won't stop beating. All hope won't be lost. You are part of the plan of this world's salvation. Of that I have no doubt. The world needs its oceans of people striving to be good, to carry us to the shores of hope and wash fear from the beachheads and cleanse all wounds so they can heal. But oceans are big, and I am sure there are parts that don't feel up to the task of the whole some days. Rest if you must, like the swimmer lying on her back who floats, or the hawk carried on cushions of air. Rest in pews made to hold weary lives in space carved out for the doing of nothing much but being. Perhaps then you will feel in your bones, in your weary heart, the aching, healing sense that this is enough, even this, that we are enough You are enough. Enough. For these and all the meditations of our hearts unspoken in this hour, I say, Amen.
Every Sunday, we take up an offering to support this congregation, to make it possible for this society to exist, which is amazingly, miraculously possible because of the generosity of many people, those of you watching and lots of other people too. Your gifts literally make this congregation possible, and they also make it possible for this society to live out its mission by giving away half of the money that we collect to the organizations in the community that are doing the work that our principles tell us matters, and it does. This week's beneficiary for the shared offering is the Vermont Center for Independent Living, an organization which is directed and staffed by individuals with disabilities that are working to promote dignity and independence and civil rights of Vermonters. All Vermonters, including those with disabilities. Your generous gifts will make a difference today, as they do every time you give. This morning's offering will be received with gratitude.
Please join me in these unison words of dedication. With gratitude, we dedicate these gifts in the service of our mission to inspire spiritual growth, care for each other and our community, seek truth, and act for justice.
I am distracted. These days, this week, it is hard for me to focus. I'm busy doing the work of this congregation. My calendar is full. I have lots of meetings. There is a lot to think about and work on as we, the First Unitarian Universalist Society, continues to pivot into the now somewhat familiar and still very different way of working and being in religious community during these pandemic times. I have been productive enough. It's during the quiet moments, when I'm not in a meeting, when it's time that I can think or read or write or go to bed, when I find myself drawn to my phone. And I scroll through and I touch the little outline of the states, Georgia or Arizona or Pennsylvania, to see the latest numbers of ballots voted. And the minuscule shapes of counties in other states where friends live, where my children are, to check on the spread of the virus. To take just a minute to look at the headlines on my laptop, to turn on VPR, or God help me, to check Twitter. I want to know what will happen, good and not. I need to know. So I'm mesmerized by bits of news or facts or stories about the great and horrifying drama that we are all living through. Ralph Waldo Emerson tells us, adopt the pace of nature whose secret is patience, which works, sort of, as long as I'm not walking the dog. When we're back inside the house, not so much. Here's the thing. Finding out what will happen in the world around me doesn't actually solve anything. Knowing more doesn't affect anything except the levels of my anxiety, which, since my anxiety is what feeds my distraction, that's something, but not exactly a key to happiness or world peace. The big tasks, the large questions about meaning and purpose, about justice and compassion, creativity, identity, loving the world, when I focus on what's going to happen out there, outside myself, outside my community, all the big tasks get put over in the corner, in the next week or next year piles, where I can find them when I'm not distracted anymore, whenever that might be. Many of us, many of you, are very clear. We know that getting answers to what's going to happen, who the president will be, what the Senate and the House might accomplish, when we will have national policies to control and contain and eventually end COVID-19, when we'll have a vaccine, whether or not people will take it. Important as these questions are, they are nothing more than what's on the stage as we begin. Because all this catastrophe, one of my favorite words from the Greek, it actually means to overturn. All this overturning of what is normal has laid bare what's already there underneath and around us all this time, hidden by the rocks that too many of us have accepted as truth, as inevitability, as the way things are. Not necessarily. We do not have to accept as inevitable the unconscionable economic inequality, the blindness to climate crisis, the horrors of structural racism, the lies of white supremacy. We are not hopelessly divided as a country. We can hope for something different. We don't have to hate people who think we're wrong even when they think it passionately. These conditions, they're not inevitable. They can change. There's plenty of work to do to accomplish that, and we can talk about that next week. Today, this week, as we're trying to keep our bearings, our noses above the swamps of uncertainty that we're swimming in, I invite you to think not about what you want to do, but how you will be. It's not too soon. This is just the right time. So throw a virtual blanket over your distractions, just for a few minutes, now and later, and consider your personness. What's most important? What's most central to who you are? Ask, how will you feed your soul, however you understand that, even now, especially now. I ran across an excerpt from a piece by Martha Nussbaum this week. She's an American philosopher. She's a professor of law and ethics at the University of Chicago, where she teaches in the law school and the philosophy department. Very impressive person. This first line of this little piece caught my attention because it starts out, to be a good human being. Oh, I want to be a good human being. To be a good human being, she writes, is to have a kind of openness to the world, an ability to trust uncertain things beyond your own control. Okay, I get that. If we're open, we need to trust, and we can't see everything that will happen. But she goes on, an ability to trust uncertain things beyond your own control that can lead you to be shattered in very extreme circumstances for which you were not to blame. I wasn't expecting that. I don't like to think about being shattered. I don't like to think of other people being shattered, and yet it's true. And then she goes on to her point. She says, that says something very important about the ethical life, that it is based on a trust in the uncertain and on a willingness to be exposed. It's based on being more like a plant than like a jewel. Something rather fragile, but whose very particular beauty is inseparable from that fragility. So, to be a good human being is not to be like a jewel, perfect and hard and unchanging, but like a plant, vulnerable, fragile, whose very particular beauty is inseparable from that fragility. We are vulnerable. We are fragile. We are also good. At least we try to be, sometimes. We long to believe, anyway, in our own goodness, which is the only place that we can start from. Vanessa Southern said it in the meditation that Kristin read. You are part of the plan for this world's salvation. Of that I have no doubt, Vanessa writes. The world needs its oceans of people striving to be good, to carry us to the shores of hope and wash fear from the beachlands and cleanse all wounds so they can heal. I was too distracted earlier this week to remember that in addition to this being election week, we are almost all the way to Veterans Day. It's an interesting convergence which happens every 2 or 4 years in our country, a time when almost simultaneously we are meant to be grateful to those who have spent days and years of their lives and stretched their bodies and souls to guard our freedom, whether or not we supported the wars and the militarization that they served. Gratitude and grief that war is a part of our life. We're to do that at the same time that we live amid the hope and inspiration and outright fear that is part of every choice we make, every choice our country makes about its leaders in elections. It's good to spend time in gratitude and grief as well. It reminds us that we are meant to be more like plants than jewels. I read this prayer to you last year on the Veterans Day service. It was written by the Reverend Kathleen McTeague, and she wrote it during the Gulf War. I'll just read the end of it. She says, "Pray for the soldiers of our country, warriors who do battle in our name. They are so young, these sons, these daughters. They are afraid they will be killed, afraid they will do grievous harm. They are frightened of failure and of what they must do to succeed. Pray for the safety of their bodies and the wholeness of their spirits. Pray for some comfort to touch the ones who love them. Pray for the soldiers of our enemy, whose names are shaped by a foreign tongue. Pray for their safety and wholeness as well. Pray to remember that these are our siblings. They bleed when they are wounded. Their hearts break in sorrow. Like us, they long for a gentler day when they might wake up to the morning in peace and know themselves to be safe." Let us be in these days. Let us not allow our distractions to prevent us from looking and listening and feeling clearly what is happening in the world. But may we be humans in the middle of it all, in good ways. When you're distracted, may your prayer bring you back to the center of what is good. For as Vanessa Southern says, you are part of the plan for this world's salvation. Resist the distraction of hate. Hate is often perfect and hard and shiny like a jewel. Practice love instead, and gratitude and hope. So may it be.
Though days be dark with storms and burdens weigh my heart, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. When sorrow heals my soul and burdens make me strong, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. My sin brothers, take my hand, and sisters, sing my song. When hope awaits at every turn, I know we will go on.
As I extinguish the chalice, as you extinguish yours at home, will you say the words with me? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with the world until we are together again. The benediction today was written by someone who was here in the Memorial Garden for the last Vespers service that happened on September 30th, when Reverend David Ruffin invited people to write blessings on cards. I loved them so much, I took them home. Here's one. May you have warmth in the cold of winter. May you have light in the darkest of days. May you find joy when you least expect it. May the craziness of the world leave a still place in your heart, untouched. May you dwell safely in the eye of the storm. May hope carry you through the ending year and into the coming of the new light. Go in peace.